In the shadows of Richmond, Virginia, a trio of brothers emerged as harbingers of horror, their names etched in the annals of infamy: Linwood Earl Briley, James Darrell Briley Jr., and Anthony Ray Briley. These siblings weren't just ordinary criminals. They were a deadly trifecta of serial killers, rapists, and robbers, unleashing a wave of terror that shook the city to its core in 1979. Their descent into darkness began years earlier, when Linwood committed his first murder in 1971, claiming the life of a woman and earning himself a short stint in a reformatory. But it was merely a prelude to the carnage that would stain the streets of Richmond with blood. In 1979, fueled by a twisted camaraderie and aided by an accomplice named Duncan Eric Meekins, the Briley brothers embarked on a rampage of unparalleled brutality. With chilling precision, they hunted their prey, leaving a trail of death, rape, and robbery in their wake. Over the course of their reign of terror, at least 11 souls fell victim to their merciless savagery, their lives extinguished in the blink of an eye. Yet amidst the chaos, there were whispers of hope as two would-be victims narrowly escaped the brothers' clutches, their survival a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unspeakable evil. Justice, however, was swift and merciless. Linwood and James found themselves sentenced to death, condemned for their heinous crimes. But even the confines of death row could not contain the brothers' insatiable thirst for freedom. In a daring escape alongside 4 other inmates in 1984, they briefly tasted the sweet nectar of liberty before the long arm of the law reclaimed them, dragging them back into the abyss from which they had emerged. Their final reckoning came in the form of the electric chair, the unforgiving instrument of justice that awaited them. One by one, Linwood and James met their fate, their lives extinguished in a blaze of electricity, leaving behind a legacy of terror and despair. In the quiet stillness of a winter's day in Richmond, Virginia, the first act of bloodshed unfolded, forever staining the innocence of the neighborhood. It was January 28, 1971, when Linwood Briley, a mere 16 years old, committed his inaugural descent into darkness. As the sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the landscape, Orline Christian, a 57-year-old neighbor, found herself ensnared in a deadly game of fate. Unaware of the impending danger lurking in the shadows, she went about her mundane chores, hanging laundry on a clothesline in the safety of her own backyard. But on this fateful day, tragedy struck with the merciless precision of a predator stalking its prey. From the confines of his bedroom window, Linwood took aim with a rifle, his hands trembling with a lethal intent that belied his tender age. In a single, heart-stopping moment, the silence was shattered by the deafening roar of gunfire as the bullet found its mark, piercing Orline's unsuspecting frame. At first, the crime lay shrouded in secrecy, a dark stain upon the fabric of the community. But fate has a way of revealing its secrets even in the darkest of hours. It was during Orline's somber viewing that her relatives, their grief-stricken eyes scanning her lifeless form, noticed a small telltale mark beneath her armpit, a crimson harbinger of the violence that had befallen her. Summoned by the whispers of suspicion, a detective ventured into the heart of Christian's backyard, a solemn observer amidst the echoes of tragedy. With a sheet of plywood as his canvas and a hole carved out to mimic the fatal wound, he reconstructed the chilling tableau of death. And in that haunting moment, the truth emerged from the shadows, casting its accusing gaze upon the Briley residence. Within the confines of their home, the murder weapon lay in silent accusation, a damning testament to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. And in a chilling admission of guilt, Linwood offered a callous justification for his heinous deed, callously remarking, "I heard she had heart problems. She would have died soon anyway." Yet, even in the face of such brazen malevolence, justice faltered in its pursuit. With the persuasive whispers of legal counsel, Linwood's heinous act was brushed aside as a tragic accident, and he was sentenced to serve a mere 1-year sentence in reform school. a paltry penance for a life snuffed out in the blink of an eye. But the tendrils of darkness extended beyond Linwood alone, ensnaring his younger brother, J.B., in their suffocating grasp. In a chilling echo of his elder siblings' descent into depravity, J.B. too found himself ensnared in the web of violence, his youthful indiscretion leading him down a path paved with blood and sorrow. In the spring of 1979, Richmond became a city gripped by fear, its streets haunted by the specter of violence and death. The Briley Brothers, fueled by a twisted bond forged in the crucible of their shared depravity, embarked on a reign of terror that would leave a trail of devastation in its wake. It was on a chilly March evening when the first echoes of their malevolence reverberated through the quiet suburbs of Henrico County. Linwood, his facade of normalcy masking the darkness that lay within, knocked upon the door of William and Virginia Boucher, a seemingly innocent plea for help concealing his sinister intent. Claiming car trouble as his ruse, he breached the sanctity of their home, a harbinger of doom cloaked in human guise. With cold precision, Linwood and Anthony bound the unsuspecting couple, their cries of terror drowned out by the deafening roar of gunfire and the acrid stench of kerosene that filled the air. The flames of greed danced in their eyes as they stripped the house bare, leaving behind a charred husk of what once was, a grim monument to their insatiable lust for destruction. But amidst the ashes, a flicker of hope emerged as William and Virginia Boucher defied the odds, their bonds of love and resilience guiding them to freedom amidst the inferno that consumed their home. Yet even in their triumph, the shadows of loss loomed large, their beloved feline companion falling victim to the merciless blaze. The brothers' thirst for blood remained unquenched, their appetite for destruction insatiable. In the days that followed, they stalked the city like predators on the prowl, their victims chosen at random, their lives snuffed out with callous disregard. On March 21st, Michael McDuffie became the next casualty of their twisted game, his suburban home transformed into a chamber of horrors at the hands of the Brileys' ruthless savagery. And then, on a fateful March evening, the streets ran red with the blood of Edric Alvin Clark, a pawn in a deadly game of drugs and deceit, his life extinguished in a haze of violence and betrayal. But it was the heinous assault on Mary Gowan that would forever stain the city with the darkest hues of despair. A gentle soul, her innocence was shattered by the Brileys' unforgiving wrath, her home transformed into a den of iniquity as she bore witness to horrors beyond imagining. In the wake of their rampage, Richmond lay battered and bruised, its once vibrant streets now silent witnesses to the depths of human depravity. And as the city grappled with the aftermath of their reign of terror, one question lingered in the air like a whispered prayer. Who would be the next to fall prey to the Briley brothers' insatiable hunger for destruction? As the summer heat hung heavy in the air, casting a stifling haze over the city of Richmond, the Briley brothers prowled the streets like predators on the hunt, their thirst for violence unquenchable, their hearts devoid of mercy. It was on the 4th of July, a day typically reserved for celebration and revelry, that their path crossed with that of 17-year-old Christopher Phillips. The air crackled with tension as suspicions flared, suspicion that Phillips had dared to encroach upon their territory. In a swift and brutal assault, the brothers descended upon him, their wrath unleashed in a flurry of violence. And as Phillips cried out for salvation, his pleas fell upon deaf ears, his life extinguished in a brutal act of savagery. A cinder block crushing his skull, his scream swallowed by the darkness that enveloped him. But their thirst for blood remained unquenched, their hunger for violence insatiable. On a fateful September night, disc jockey John Harvey, Johnny G. Gallagher unwittingly stumbled into their clutches, his fate sealed by the cruel whims of fate. Stripped of his humanity and robbed of his dignity, Galahad found himself at the mercy of his captors, his life snuffed out in a moment of unfathomable brutality, a bullet piercing his skull, his body discarded like refuse in the murky depths of the James River. Yet even in the wake of their heinous crimes, the brothers remained undeterred, their lust for blood unabated. Mary Wilfong, a 62-year-old private nurse, became the next victim of their unrelenting fury, her life extinguished in a haze of violence as Linwood's baseball bat rained down upon her with merciless precision. And then, on a chilling October night, the streets bore witness to the depths of their depravity as Blanche Page and Charles Garner fell victim to their insatiable bloodlust. Bludgeoned and stabbed with a savage ferocity, their bodies bore the scars of their assailants' cruelty. A twisted tableau of violence etched into the fabric of the city. As the city reeled from the horrors that had befallen it, the Briley brothers remained shrouded in darkness, their reign of terror casting a shadow that lingered long after the echoes of their violence had faded into the night. And as the streets lay silent, haunted by the ghosts of the fallen, one question still echoed in the hearts of all who bore witness to their atrocities. Who would be the next? In the hushed hours of a fateful October night, the streets of Richmond bore witness to the final, chilling chapter of the Briley Brothers' reign of terror, a night that would forever stain the city with the darkest hues of despair. Harvey Wilkerson, a longtime friend of the brothers, found himself ensnared in the web of their malevolence, his home transformed into a chamber of horrors by the cruel whims of fate. As the moon hung low in the sky, casting a pall of shadows over the neighborhood, Wilkerson's instincts screamed with primal warning as the brothers approached, their footsteps echoing like a harbinger of doom. With trepidation gnawing at his heart, Wilkerson dared to defy their demands, his actions noticed by the brothers, their gaze burning with a feral hunger for violence. And in that fleeting moment of hesitation, his fate was sealed, his home invaded by the specter of death. Bound and gagged with cruel precision, Wilkerson and his loved ones stood helpless before their tormentors, their pleas drowned out by the deafening roar of terror that enveloped them. In the cold confines of the kitchen, Judy Diane Barton, 8 months pregnant and defenseless, became the unwitting victim of their twisted desires, her screams echoing through the night as she was violated in the cruelest of manners. But even as the darkness closed in around them, there was no mercy to be found in the hearts of the Briley brothers and their accomplice. With callous indifference, they laid waste to the lives of their victims, their bodies discarded like discarded refuse in the wake of their merciless rampage. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting its pallid light upon the city, the true extent of the horror was revealed. The bodies of Harvey Wilkerson, Judy Barton, and young Harvey Wayne Barton lay shrouded in silence, their lives extinguished in a blaze of violence that defied comprehension. And as city grappled with the magnitude of the tragedy that had befallen it, the Briley brothers' reign of terror came to a crashing end. Arrested in the aftermath of their heinous crimes, they were dragged from the shadows into the unforgiving light of justice, their names forever etched in the annals of infamy as a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks within the human soul. In the cold, sterile confines of the interrogation room, the truth lay waiting to be unearthed, shrouded in the darkness of the Briley brothers' malevolence. Duncan Eric Meekins, their once loyal accomplice, found himself at a crossroads, his fate hanging in the balance as the weight of his decisions bore down upon him like a leaden burden. Offered a glimmer of hope in the form of a plea agreement, Meekins seized upon the opportunity, his resolve hardened by the specter of impending doom. With a steady hand and a heart heavy with regret, he laid bare the chilling details of their crime spree, his words a damning testament to the depths of their depravity. In exchange for his cooperation, Meekins was granted a reprieve from the specter of death. His sentence commuted to a life behind bars under an alias, far removed from the clutches of the Briley Brothers' influence. Yet, even as the doors of his prison cell closed behind him, the echoes of his betrayal lingered like a bitter aftertaste, a constant reminder of the choices that had led him down this dark path. For Anthony Briley, the youngest of the trio, a different fate awaited. His role in the bloodshed deemed minimal. He was handed a single life sentence with the possibility of parole, a small mercy in the face of unspeakable horror. But for J.B. and Linwood, the architects of untold suffering, justice demanded a harsher reckoning. Virginia's Triggerman statute cast a long shadow over their fate, each murder meticulously scrutinized to determine their level of culpability. And as the gavel fell, their fates were sealed, numerous life sentences for crimes too numerous to count, yet death sentences reserved only for the most heinous of acts. Linwood, condemned for the abduction and murder of John Harvey Gallagher, faced the ultimate punishment. The electric chair awaited him, its unforgiving embrace a grim testament to the severity of his crime. And for J.B., the echoes of his deeds reverberated through the halls of Mecklenburg Correctional Center, his own death sentences a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked within his soul. As the sun set on their once mighty empire of terror, the Briley brothers found themselves consigned to the annals of infamy, their names forever etched in the sands of time as a cautionary tale of the depths to which humanity can sink. And as the world moved on, their legacy remained a grim reminder of the darkness that lurks within us all. In the shadowy depths of Virginia's Mecklenburg Correctional Center, the air hung heavy with the scent of desperation and defiance. It was May 31, 1984, a day that would forever be etched in infamy as Linwood and James Briley, the architects of terror, orchestrated a daring escape from death row, a bid for freedom that would plunge the state into chaos and terror. With a steely determination born of years spent plotting their liberation, the Briley brothers seized control of the death row unit with ruthless precision, their minds consumed by thoughts of vengeance and escape. In the chaos that ensued, guards found themselves at the mercy of their captors, their lives hanging in the balance as the Brileys contemplated their grisly demise. Yet, amidst the darkness that threatened to consume them, a glimmer of humanity emerged. Willie Lloyd Turner, a fellow inmate, stood firm in the face of James Briley's murderous intent, his selfless act of defiance sparing the guards from a fate worse than death. And as the flames of chaos threatened to engulf them, Wilbert Lee Evans, another condemned man, stood as a bulwark against the tide of violence, his courage a beacon of hope in the midst of despair. But even as their escape seemed assured, fate had other plans in store. Their initial destination, Canada, beckoned, with the promise of freedom, yet their dreams were shattered as two of their companions fell into the waiting arms of the law, their bid for freedom cut short by the relentless pursuit of justice. Undeterred by the setback, the Briley brothers pressed on, their thirst for freedom undiminished by the specter of capture. Finding refuge in the north of Philadelphia, they sought solace in the embrace of family, their Uncle Johnny Lee counsel offering sanctuary in the face of adversity. Yet, even in the shadows of their newfound freedom, the long arm of the law loomed large. Hunted by a relentless cadre of FBI agents and police, their sanctuary was shattered in a blaze of gunfire, their dreams of freedom extinguished by the cold hand of justice. And so on June 19, 1984, the Briley brothers were once again consigned to the confines of captivity, their bid for freedom forever thwarted by the relentless pursuit of those who stood against them. And as they languished behind bars, their dreams of escape reduced to ashes, the echoes of their crimes lingered still, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked within their hearts. As the sands of time slipped away, the Briley brothers found themselves teetering on the precipice of eternity, their final moments marked by a grim dance with death. In the twilight hours before their executions, James Briley sought solace in the arms of Evangeline Grant Redding, a writer who believed in his innocence, a flickering beacon of hope in the gathering darkness. In a solemn prison ceremony attended by his father, James Sr., they exchanged vows, their union a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of life. Yet, even as they clung to the vestiges of hope, the specter of death loomed large. In the cold confines of the Virginia State Penitentiary, Linwood and J.B. faced their final reckoning, their fate sealed by the unforgiving embrace of the electric chair. For Linwood, the taste of freedom lingered on his lips as he savored his last meal. A feast fit for a condemned man, his final moments marked by a defiant declaration of innocence that echoed through the hallowed halls of the prison. Meanwhile, J.B. faced his fate with a smile upon his lips, his last meal a simple indulgence in the face of impending doom. As the witnesses looked on, he posed a haunting question, "Are you happy?" A chilling reminder of the weight of their collective sins. But even as they faced their final moments, the echoes of their crimes reverberated through the corridors of the prison, their legacy stained by the blood of the innocent. Shirley Barton Hayes, mother of Judy Barton, pleaded for J.B. to confess his guilt, her words a desperate plea for redemption in the eyes of God. And as the hour of their executions drew near, chaos erupted within the prison walls. As fellow inmates launched a desperate bid to delay the inevitable, their makeshift weapons a testament to the desperation that gripped their souls. In death, the Briley brothers left behind a legacy of darkness and despair, their graves serving as a solemn reminder of the horrors they unleashed upon the world. Yet, even as their names faded into obscurity, the scars of their crimes remained etched upon the hearts of those who bore witness to their reign of terror. And so, as the years passed and the world moved on, the Briley brothers slipped into the annals of history, their crimes relegated to the darkest corners of memory. A cautionary tale of the depths to which humanity can sink when consumed by the darkness that lurks within. If you enjoyed this episode of True Black Crime, please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Until the next upload, please be safe.